Laura Doorneweerd-Perry, and I am an improviser, improv teacher. Hi, Ben. Hi, good to see you. From the Netherlands. Currently, I am in France, where I'm quarantined. This is my first Facebook Live. It's very exciting. So thank you for being there and for being so generous with your comments. That's great. Today, the topic is Masters in Improv. And the reason why is because I started this Facebook group for improv teachers because this is so funny, by the way. I am like trying to do my story and then looking at the chat. I'm going to now and then look at the chat, okay? Important questions, feel free to repeat them. I started this improv group for improv teachers, and I started developing different material for improv teachers because of I would say, a story that happened to me, I would say like a year or maybe 2 years ago. I was teaching a Dutch group in the Netherlands, where I'm from, and they were talking about a fellow improv teacher. And they refer to them as the expert of improv in the Netherlands. And you should like imagine like I am there as a teacher too. Of course, not great for my ego, but okay. So this person is being referred to as the expert of the Netherlands. And this particular colleague of mine also is someone who teaches other improv teachers. And as much as I value and respect his work, I also thought, oh, this person now becomes the face of what an improv teacher should be. And just for I would say, the mere fact that he is a man, I would say that he would not fully show everything that is possible as an improv teacher. So I would think that in the Netherlands, we would at least need one more voice of what it looks like to be an improv teacher. And so part of me went like, yeah, I guess maybe that should be me. And that thought has been like sort of in the back of my head for a while. And now a few months ago, it sort of came to me that I'm like, yes, I want to teach other people how to be an improv teacher, which is why I'm here today. To talk to you about that. And the first topic about these masters in improv, I feel very passionate about that. And that probably has to do with the fact that I come from a culture that, I guess, like very bluntly phrased, would be, we don't have a lot of respect for authority. And the way I noticed that for the first time very clearly was I was at a month-long Commedia dell'arte course in Italy. And in this course, the man who was teaching that was standing on a stage. We were on the floor and he was on the stage. And we had like 30 people. In that month, he didn't learn any name. However, he wanted to be referred to him as the Maestro. And I remember being in that room thinking, Maestro? Like, really? I mean, he hadn't done anything. And I felt Maestro was like a big word for just referring to a teacher. But I also noticed that in the group, people were very much nodding and yes, of course, Maestro. And the only person who wasn't doing that was this blonde lady next to me. And it turned out that she was Swedish, which made me realize that actually different cultures have different levels of how much they like respect authority or are basically trained or in their country to have this big difference in hierarchy. So I will say that I will speak from my culture and how I feel, and that is that I prefer the more level, like that we are leveled, the better. Which also results in that the first time that people started to refer to me as an expert or a master, I felt very, very uncomfortable with that. But I'm learning more now that for some people that actually makes them feel safer in groups. So I just don't want to be referred to as Maestro or whatever. In this Facebook Live, I am going to share with you the answer to 2 questions. When should you listen to the masters in improv? And when should you not? And at the end, I also have a tiny little exercise for you that you can do yourself. And if you have questions, there will be a moment for that at the end. First time Facebook Live is scary. That's why I'm drinking water. All right. So when should you listen to the masters of improv? Now, when I say master of improv, I guess I'm referring to those that maybe other people very much look up to, that you very much look up to, that there is basically a difference in experience, in knowledge. So that is up to you to think about, who do I think of? Can be people that write books, can be people that you take workshops with, but definitely there is a difference in authority or in status, or you experience that, right? So when do I think you should listen? 1, when their content resonates with you. This may seem kind of obvious, but I think you can say resonates. It's not just like, oh, I hear it and I think it's true, but when you follow their advice, you either enjoy yourself more or you feel like you improve. Because I can listen to people saying things and I can think they can make sense, but when I apply it, I'm not having fun, or I get very much in my head. That is not a master you should listen to. They might be right, but it's not right for you. Currently, I think my best example in this moment is a non-improv example, which is that at this moment, I'm following a marketing expert who from the States. And I recently decided that I am not going to take any advice on business or marketing from any other experts in the field. I'm just going to follow hers. And the reason is that every time I apply her content, I feel like I get better. I'm also having more fun. And I noticed that when I'm following multiple experts, I also get sort of like overwhelmed with the decisions I need to make. So this was for me very important to sort of like commit to, I'm now going to follow this expert because I think it will help me get laser focused on what I want to do. Another reason why you would want to listen to a master is because, and it's sort of like connected to, it's not just resonating with you, but learning their content will help you move forward. So that sometimes means, and I've heard these examples from fellow improvisers, that when you work, for instance, in an improv school that has a very clear line they're following, or a master's content that they're following, if you want to work at that school, you better really know that content. So by learning the content or learning what this master has to say, it will help you move forward. And that's a decision you have to make for yourself. Like, oh, is this also the direction I want to move forward in? And then if so, then commit to that kind of work. And a third situation I would suggest you should listen to masters is to have a deep dive experience. A really good example of that is the 5-week IO intensive. And that's in Chicago. And for 5 weeks, you can take a course at IO Chicago where you live and breathe the Herald. And even though I haven't taken that myself, I have talked to many people who have. And there is something very valuable to being so submerged in that type of content. Because even if you come out of it going like, the Herald is not something for me, you have had this like deep experience, and you will not have had that if in week 2 you're like, I don't know, maybe I should also, listen, read Keith Johnson's book at the same time. So I would definitely recommend you having that experience. Oh yeah, and a part of that is that deep dive experience is sometimes individually with that master. So if someone says, I'm going to take you under my wings and I'm going to coach you and help you, and you get access to everything that I know, that is also a deep dive experience that is super interesting and very valuable for the rest of your career. All right. Now to the maybe more juicy part, which is when should you not listen? When should you continue and let go of whatever master you were listening to or that you were following? Which basically is the opposite of what I just said before, but I'll also give some examples. So one is their content is not resonating with you anymore. So you can notice this in when you follow their advice, you don't enjoy yourself as much anymore, or you feel like you're not even improving. I'll repeat myself, they can still be right, and you can still believe that it's a good thing that they're saying, but for this moment in your career or where you are as a person, it is not resonating. And that means that if you're not improving or you're not having fun, then you should get out and find a way and find a person or a master or a style of improv where you can get that again. The second thing is also following this master will not move you forward. It is keeping you stuck. Now, this is a difficult thing because when we're stuck, we often don't notice it ourselves. So are you stuck? An example I could think of was, for instance, let's say you trained at UCB, also in America, and you learned everything about the game of the scene. But at some point you feel like, oh, I really want to get into more slower theatrical improv. And where I am learning this, where I'm learning my improv is mostly focused on something else. So that might feel like it's great to learn that part, but where can I expand my range of what I want to do? Sometimes the person, the master with the best intentions, is not helping you move forward because, for instance, they don't want you to go, or they don't want you to leave, or they want to keep you in their school, or because it feels good to have followers. Kind of extreme to call it followers, but you know what I mean. So that can be painful because they may have had an immense influence on your career, and everything they taught you is so valuable. But for you to grow, you need to continue, or you need to break free. And I think that is a really interesting moment in your improv career. So I hope you will have one of those. And the last one, when should you let go and continue of a master that you're following, is when the master does not share one or more of the things you believe in, of your values. And this is one of my stories as well. So one improv trainer that I very much consider my mentor or the master, I learned so much, and everything that they taught me is very much the core of what I nowadays believe in and what I think has made me a much better player than before. And at some point we were having a coffee and we started talking about the topic of feminism in improv shows. And it became pretty clear that they thought that feminism should not have that big of a role or take so much space on the improv stage. And this is just not something that I believe in, because that I very much identify as a feminist, and I very much think that the improv stage is a place for that. So to hear a person that I thought was amazing and perfect in everything I looked for in improv, I realized they actually do not share all the values that I have, which doesn't make them a bad person or a bad trainer, but it was definitely a moment for me to go like, oh, I should also keep developing what I believe in and not just take everything that this person teaches as this is exactly what I'm going to do. It's sort of this like, I am my own person kind of moment. So, it's a lot of talking, but I wanted to keep this concise, and it's already 17 minutes in. So I wanted to do a little exercise with you. In the meantime, if you have any questions or things you want to throw at me, feel free to do that. Here's a little exercise. Who do you consider, of all the people that have ever taught you or the schools you've ever followed, who is your master or the expert or your mentor? Just keep that person or that school of thought in mind. And now about this one. What is one important lesson that they taught you? What is something that is very much ingrained in you? If you want to share it in the chat, you can. But I can also imagine that you may not want to do that. That's okay too. All right, so who is your master and what's an important lesson they taught you? And now the second question about this is, what is one thing you do not resonate with that they teach to other people? And that every time you hear it, you're like, it just doesn't sit with me that well. For whatever reason. It can be like, I still don't understand that part. Or that thing just doesn't seem to work for me. And now basically what I would love for you to look at is like those two answers are very much also who you are as an improv teacher. Because you are both, right? And that is a unique combination that no one else has. No one else has like this core of this school of thought and this other thing that is also part of them. So I will put these questions also in the comments. So if you want to think about it later, feel free to do so. If you're someone who journals, like to write out your thoughts, this is a great like question to journal on, because basically it reflects who you are. And the more you know who you are as an improv teacher, the easier it gets to find workshop topics, promote yourself, make money, all of that good stuff. All right, now I'm finally going to look into the chat. I hope to keep it under 20 minutes, but I already failed. So hi, everyone. First Facebook Live from a train. All right. There are different masters for different students. I think so. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Such a smart thing. And I'm not sure. Yes, there it is. So Ben himself said, different kinds of students thrive best under different masters. Yes. Which is also why you shouldn't feel guilty for not resonating with someone's stuff. I did a week workshop with someone that is very respected in the field, and oh boy, I did my worst improv ever with this person. And yeah, I mean, at first, of course, I blamed the teacher. Like, I'm like, they're a bad teacher. And after a while, when I heard other people had such great experiences, I realized it's just not how I work. I just work different. Oh yeah, Bodai has experience in IO. If you want to hear more about it, contact her. Ooh, all right. So a few people have already started sharing what they believed in, what they learned from their master. Jason Schatz feels something. That's amazing, because if you share that, if you're willing to share that with us in the chat, it can also give us opportunity to go like, oh, I never took a course with Jason Schatz. Maybe I should. Appreciate yourself and just appreciate others. Beautiful. Many masters. Yes. All right. I am going to close this Facebook Live with, well, first, thanking you. Thank you so much for being here. But second, I am planning on another Facebook Live because I want to get better at it so that I'm doing it over and over again and failing in front of a camera. And the next one is on Thursday. And I'm going to do that one on my public page. I'm just going to figure out like which makes the most sense. Where do I find the most people? So I'm experimenting. And that one will be about how do you find exercises specifically for online improv. And if you are not going to do a lot of online improv, it's still going to be an interesting one because it's about where do you get exercises in general? How do you find them? How do you adapt them? How do you make them yourself? So thank you again for coming and for watching. And anything you want to say or share, leave them in the comments, and I'm going to stick around to answer them. Bye, everyone.